Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is a new year, so happy new year. I am going to talk to you about my reading journal today, and I'll insert some clips of me preparing my reading journal, and then I'm going to talk to you about my reading goals for this year. So, as you saw, I just prepared my reading journal and slash movie journal slash series slash documentary slash short film journal. Everything all in one place. I started tracking the films that I watch and the series and what else? Documentaries and short films last year, because I find it so interesting that people have a reading tracker but not a movies tracker. And as somebody who really likes movies or films and series and that world, I thought it would be interesting to keep track of the films I've seen, and also just for myself, so that I can remember what films I've seen and also kind of in what year I watched them. So I thought I would continue it this year. So it's my reading tracker. I left open two pages blank for it. I only numbered this side of the tracker so far. I'm gonna leave this one blank and see how far I get. But it will, if I fill up both of these pages, it will afford me 44 books. So, judging by how last year's reading went, I don't think I will make it to 44 books. But there is the option. It is empty. It is a blank slate. And then on my movie tracker, it's much more numbered, because watching a film takes a lot less time than reading a whole book. So if I fill up these two pages, I will have watched 88 films. And judging by how many films I watched last year, I think I could potentially do that. If not, maybe even more, but we'll see how it goes. And then on my little series tab, there's space for 22 series. Last year, I think I watched 21 series. I only had 20 slots, but there was also a series that I watched that I forgot to write down. And then upon talking to my sister about some things that I'd watched, I realized that I hadn't even filled it in on my list. So I had to make a little footnote in the corner of the series that I forgot to add. So I watched 21 series last year. I didn't complete all of them. I started 21 series. I think I completed like 19 of the 21, so there's 2 that I started that I didn't finish. And then on my documentaries tab, I made it to 2 kind of halves of a page long, but I only wrote down, or only numbered until 10, because I'm not sure how many documentaries I watch. I would like to watch more documentaries in general, but I don't know. I feel like watching a documentary is not always the first thing that comes to mind when I feel like I want to watch something, but I would like to change that. So I gave myself a lot of space for that. And then in the short film section, I also only numbered to 10, but there is space for 22 and potentially even 23 if I write all the way down to the bottom of the page. Short films, which could possibly fill up, because short films are obviously a lot shorter and quicker to watch than the rest. So now that we've very briefly gone over my tracking situation, it's very bare bones, it's very minimalist, because I've realized in the past I did very extravagant trackers and I never used them to their full potential. And this last year, where I made it really simple, was the first year where I actually used it constantly, and also because I kept reminding myself to fill it in. But yes, the one last thing I want to say about the tracker is I have 2 highlighters in the colors of my things. So this is the reading color is purple, and the writing color, the films, series, documentaries, short films color is blue. And I will highlight all of my favorites of the year in these highlighters, which I did last year as well. Partially, I did it for my films and series. I didn't do it for the reading things, because I have a reading app that I use where I can give them 5 stars, and that's kind of my favorites of the year. That's how I determine my favorites. So that's my reading tracker done. Now, as for reading goals, I don't have any reading goals for this year, because I don't know, I kind of just want to give myself a break. I feel like this year is going to be a really busy year for me, and I don't want to pressure myself into having to read a specific amount of books and then just trying to read as many books as possible to fill up that number, regardless of whether I'm actually interested in the books or whether I just want to, read a tiny book to be able to add another book quickly, or if I speed through an audiobook to add a book to my list so that I can read a certain amount of books in a year. In terms of that, I don't have any goals. I just want to read books that I'm really excited about. So I kind of want this year to be my mood reading year. So if I feel like reading a mystery novel, I'll read a mystery novel. If I feel interested to read a memoir, I would read a memoir. If I want to read maybe a little non-fiction, self-help, productivity, science kind of book, then I would read that. But I don't want to force myself to have to read a specific number of books, because then usually you kind of end up reading whatever will get you to that number fastest, and not the books that I'm interested in. And also, I want to give myself grace to be able to DNF books if I'm really not enjoying them, because last year I read a couple of books where I thought, I'm not really loving this book, but if I put it down, I'll have spent all this time reading it already, and then have not added an extra book to my list of books that I've read. So I'm just going to keep reading it, even though I'm not really loving this book. So I want to... Obviously, I'm not just going to DNF any book that I don't like within the 50 pages, the first 50 pages. I will give them all a chance. I'll give them all their fair chance. But if there's a book that I really... either I'm just not in the mood for, I started reading it because I thought it was going to go in a certain way, and then it turns out to have gone in a different way, and I'm not in the mood for that kind of book, then I want to be able to put it aside for a while and move on to something else that I'm excited about. And then if there's a book that I am reading but really don't care for, that I can just put it away and not have to feel sad about having one less book on my list of things. So that's my brief description of how this year's reading is going to go. I might do throughout the year sort of little TBRs, as I usually do for myself, but maybe themed TBRs. So for a specific month, I might read a specific type of book, depending on how my year goes and how I'm feeling. I might try that out, but I make no promises, and I don't want to force myself to do anything at the beginning of the year. I just want to see how this year pans out and kind of go a little bit more with the flow. That's my plan. I hope you all are enjoying planning your reading this year. If you have specific reading goals, let me know down below. I would love to read them, and maybe I'll be inspired by some of your reading goals and decide to implement them halfway through the year, or in February, or next year possibly even. And I will, as always, keep you updated on how my reading is going throughout the year. And I have a really fun video planned for next week, or fun for me at least. It's going to be fun for me to film and to talk about. So yes. Also, if you have any specific type of content requests that you would like me to make, either of stuff that I've made in the past but I have made very few of, or stuff that you've seen other people try and you would like to watch me try it, let me know also in the comments, and I will see if I feel like making those kinds of videos. But I'm always looking for new types of content that I can film, and something different from what I'm used to making, given that I can complete these things within the time that I have. So thank you all for watching, and thank you all for deciding to stick around with me for another year. Or hello, if you've just found my channel for the first time, welcome. I hope you decide to stick around for the rest of the year. Let's see what this year brings in terms of reading and in terms of life. Yes, so thank you all for being here, and I will see you all again next week with another video. Cheers.